Welcome back to the show. Guys, I've got a great guy on today. I've got Hunter Burkey, who's literally a serial entrepreneur. When we talk about entrepreneurship, you know how much I love what it takes to reinvent yourself. And Hunter is one of those guys who has reinvented himself multiple times, continues to move through the world with this ability to continuously see new opportunities. And I thought he'd make a great guest for us to be on today. So, Hunter, welcome to the show.
Absolutely, Anthony. Thank you so much for having me, man. I'm looking forward to it.
You have certainly gone through the gamut of, starting companies, really developing organizations, and every time we do this, right, we have an idea, right? We take an idea, whatever your security, your valet parking companies, all the online stores, online training, all the different businesses that you've done, right? You look at all of them, it's an idea, right? And then you want to expand on the idea, and in between the two of those, there's a lot that goes on, right? There's a lot of chaos in between the two of those that most entrepreneurs don't handle well, or a lot of people don't handle well, and they get messed up in the middle here. And as you develop all these companies, talk a little bit about that, the ideas, because you've had a lot of them. Maybe we can go through some of those, and people kind of get amazed by how many different businesses Hunter's put together, and talk about the growth of them, and talk a little bit about what it takes to get through that in between time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, like you said, have started a lot of businesses, failed more, I think, than we have successful. But luckily, the ones that are successful fortunately for us, are huge. And we've been very fortunate with that. And what I've found and what I've come to know and live by is be where your feet are and worry about what's going on right now. And I think the main thing I can push, I guess, for the struggles and all that is you're never going to have a Cinderella story from day one and everything you do. Anybody that's successful will never tell you they didn't have hardships, and you got to just keep reminding yourself that and say, hey, this is going to work, this is going to work, this is going to work, and continue to work hard and get there. And that's fortunately where we've been.
The starting with an idea, right? Folks, you're not going to get this, but I mean, there was a time when Hunter slept on people's couches, didn't have a place to live, was couch surfing for part of his life, and all of a sudden gets in a relationship, finds the ability. Now he's got a son coming, and life turns on, right? Every man or woman that's listening today, you guys, if you haven't, or you will have a motivator somewhere in your life that says, all right, it's time for me to giddy up and start to take that next step. And now talk about a little bit about that. What happens first, and how do you get from couches to where you are now?
Yeah, for sure. So I actually had a decent job up in DFW in the Arlington area back in, I want to say in 2006, 2007. I was actually the youngest inside salesperson to work for American Racing Wheel Distributors. We were a worldwide wheel distributing company. I worked as wholesale sales, inside sales rep. Started as a warehouse worker. Shortly became inside sales. Was the youngest in the company, and the company was around since I think 1958 or something. Well, I did that for a couple of years, and then shortly after that, they got bought out by a company called Wheel One, and they laid off everyone, closed down a bunch of warehouses.
Now you're out of a job. Now you're completely out of a job. All right, so this is a big part, right? Look, you've got something going. Life pulls the carpet out of. Look, all of you. The life pulls the carpet out from underneath every single person that's out there. If you think that you're going to get through life unscathed, either A, you're living a completely boring life, right? You're hiding in some sort of rock, and you're figuring you're going to get out of this thing without getting a couple of marks on you, you're nuts. Or like I said, your life is so damn boring. You're sitting on a couch most of the time.
Yeah. So yeah, you're absolutely right. And so, again, I was young and dumb and didn't save my money good. So about 2 months after, I guess 3 months after everybody got laid off, I didn't have a dime to my name. Got evicted from my townhouse. All I had was a car that I paid off, clothes in my trunk, and a laptop. And I would sleep in parking lots of hotels and go in that and made sure the hotels had free continental breakfast. And I would go inside every morning, act like I was staying there, get on my laptop and try to find a job or try to, get things going. Before the American Racing, like you said, I did start a couple businesses that didn't work out. HT Customs was trying to sell aftermarket audio, video wheels. We started, we kind of joked that I started the first Favor and DoorDash and Uber Eats before smartphones. It was called Go To Guys, and it was myself and a friend, and we created all these flyers and went and passed them out in old folks communities and fancy neighborhoods and said, hey, anything you need, we're the go-to guys. You need your lawn done, your groceries picked up, whatever. That didn't kick off, but so anyway, like I said, shortly after being laid off, found myself living in my car, living in hotel parking lots, and got invited to Austin one weekend to basically just to see a friend, and he got me a job that night as a valet in Austin, working at one of the according to the valets, one of the hardest accounts. We ran miles and miles a night in the middle of downtown Austin. And after a few months of doing that, I went to my then boss and said, hey, if you put me at that account again, and it was an Eddie V's restaurant in downtown. And I said, if you put me at that account again, I quit. Like I need to run an account. I'm not saying I'm better than the valet, but I know I can do better for you guys. Let me be a lead somewhere, put me somewhere at a restaurant. And he said, man, I only got one restaurant I can put you at, and everybody hates being there. And they hate the owner, and they hate the location. And I said, I don't care. Put me there, and we'll make it work. And it's kind of a funny story, but when day one, I met the owner, and he's a huge part of our success now. His name's Sean Serkiel. He owns Parkside Restaurant, Backspace, Olive and June, a bunch of other things going on in Austin. But at the time, he just had that one restaurant. And him and I met the first night. And same thing. He was, playing big man on campus, tried to intimidate me and not be friendly. And I kind of gave it right back to him and just said, hey, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here. And I'm going to work. And I don't care if we're friends or not. And about a month later, we end up really hitting it off and being in a good spot. From there, I end up being the lead valet of his one restaurant. I had another friend from back home who kind of ran into the same issue I ran into a little while earlier. And I said, hey, come on down here to Austin. You can sleep on my couch. Because it took me, when I started doing the valet, I guess I was still couch surfing for, almost 3 years. When I finally got my own apartment, I offered my friend the same deal. Hey, come sleep on my couch. You can work alongside me at Parkside, and we'll make it work. And Sean Serkiel ended up opening up another restaurant called Olive and June, and we had the opportunity to either me stay in downtown or go to his new restaurant. And I said, hey, I'm downtown. I know everybody down here. This is my spot. Give it to my friend Andis. So he took over as the lead valet at Olive and June, and Sean, a few months after that, came to both of us and said, hey, look, I like you guys, but I hate the company you work for. I'm looking to make a change. Is there anything you guys can do? And we were in the middle of trying to take real estate school online. We were trying to get a real estate license, and our plan was to open up our own brokerage and all this stuff and get out of valet. And he came to us with that, and we looked at it and said, hey, we can make this work. We just need some time.
No experience running a company. You're working for somebody else. And now look, guys, I call this throwing your keys over your fence, right? Yeah. You have no ideas how to do it. You take your keys, you throw them over the fence. You're like, I'm not sure how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do it. And just jumping in, kind of figuring it out. And this is the hard part, right? This is the hard part where if you have these opportunities in life, and they're few and far in between, right? And people say to me, well, that guy's lucky or this guy's lucky. It's not luck. It's always a matter of somewhere you get noticed, right? You stand out from the others. People love helping people who are helping themselves. When people see you hustling, they see you doing, by the way, like you ever see a guy like on the side of the road and they're sitting in their car looking for help, or if you see them outside pushing the car, everybody jumps out, they're dying to help. Yeah, and I feel like life's that way, right? We see a guy like Hunter who's going through rough times. He goes in there, he takes his account that for the company was polishing a turd, right? And he busts ass on it, and the owner takes notice to him, and now he says, hey, I'm going to start you off and get you on your own business. And you guys take your keys, you throw them over the fence. This is your first business. What's the next business you go into?
So for almost a year, we started the valet in 2012. Our first day on site was the day after South by Southwest, which was in April of 2013. So from 2013 for the rest of that year, we just had the two restaurants. We had Parkside and Olive and June. Well, about 3-4 months into that restaurant, we somehow were noticed by Uchi. And at the time, it's a restaurant in Austin. Now they're pretty much nationwide, and they're owned by a company called High Hospitality.
So how do you get their attention?
Well, so we were very fortunate that at the time, the GM of the Uchi in Austin, he was a regular. I wouldn't say regular. He would come to Parkside once a week or so, once every two
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah.
And he kind of knew me briefly. You know, he didn't know me by name, but he knew my face, and I knew his. I knew who he was. And one day he showed up and he saw we had different shirts on. He said, "Oh, new uniforms," because he used the same valet company we previously worked for. And we said, no, new company. You know, we took over Parkside and Olive in June. He goes, really? He's like, all right. Well, he gave me a card and said, we need to talk. And that was, 3-4 months after we opened. And from that point until the end of the year, we had meetings with them. It seemed like every week. And they, finally came to us and said, hey, look, we want you guys to take over, but here's the catch. You got to take over the restaurant in Houston too, because the same valet company we hired in Austin is the one in Houston.
Yeah. So now look, idea. I start a valet company. I'm going to go on my own. Now, growing it in between is all of this stuff you have to figure out. Right. And every day there's not an entrepreneur out here who doesn't get, look, the figuring out part is a part where people get worn out and they give up and they stop doing it. And, it's good days, there's bad days. I mean, how many times did you move forward? People don't show up. Now you're double working, or how many different issues happen in the middle there?
Oh my gosh, so many. And I mean, the biggest issue was trying to work on the business and not in the business. And when we first started, it was, hey, we're owner operating here. We're the lead valet at these accounts 7 nights a week. We're also trying to, manage the business 7 days a week, during the day, valet at night. We had no idea what we were doing when it came to pricing. Like our first event we quoted, I remember, fortunately, the host of the event responded and said, hey, look, we're not going to go with you guys, but just want to let you know you're like 4 times more expensive than any other quote we got. So we were like, okay, what are we doing wrong? We had to figure that out, and then, like you said, with the employees, hiring people for the first time, going through the interview process, the onboarding process, setting up an actual payroll system, getting insurance taken care of. That was all, a whole new world to us.
I mean, that's the stuff here. Entrepreneurs, that's what it takes. You're the cook, you're the chef, you're the bottle washer, you're the dishwasher, you're sweeping, you're greeting people at the door, you're doing all of the above at any given time. And that's the hard part about being an early stage entrepreneurs. You're that warrior energy you got to bring to the table, and you're like, you're literally muscling it over the line, right? It's a muscle.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah, 100%. Yeah, you're 100% right. And and fortunately, I have the right mindset, and my business partner does too, we embrace the problems, we embrace the issues, we embrace the challenges. And we've always wanted to own our own business and be our own boss and build something, that's substantial and not only for us, but for our families and just, in general. And when Uchi came kind of calling and asking and talking to us, they like I said, they had a catch where, hey, we want you to take over Austin, but hey, you got to take over Houston too. And that day, the first day that they said that, we were able to find guys to cover for us at the restaurants. We drove straight to Houston, checked out the account there, and it was a monster. So busy nights for us in Austin were 40, 50 cars. Regular nights for the location in Houston was 200-300 cars a night.
Wow.
And we didn't know how to start there, but we went back and said, hey, we can do it. We'll make it work. 100% we can take care of it. And they believed in us, and we made it work. We sent a guy from Austin to Houston. We got an apartment there. They gave us our start with Uchi on January 2nd of 2014. They had the restaurant in Austin. They had 2 restaurants in Austin, Uchi and Uchi Co. And then they had the one restaurant in Houston. But the one restaurant in Houston was connected to a nightclub and all these other things. And we were very fortunate that it took off, and we were able to bring some people from the old company on, and we shared time. So I would be in Houston for a month. My business partner would be in Houston for a month. We'd switch off back and forth for pretty much a year or so.
How many sleepless nights?
Oh my gosh, countless.
Right.
I mean, because
like you're working day and night. You're doing both. When people tell me, they're having a hard time, I'm like, yeah, no shit. That's what you're going to go through. You're building a company. No shit. If you want it easy, go get a government job.
Oh
right?
yeah, and that's what blows my mind is when people say they want to be their own boss so I can work whenever I want. It's like no. Like when
Yeah,
you be your
right.
own boss, you better get ready to work 24 hours a day, or you're gonna be out of a job and looking to go work for somebody else. And
Yeah, yeah.
um, and we were just determined not to fail. And we still have the same mindset. And a year after we opened with Uchi, they opened a restaurant in Dallas, and they said, "Hey, can you guys take over in Dallas?" And again, we had we had no ties up there when it comes to our business. We had no employees, and we said, "Hell yeah, we can do it." And we made it work, and we're still there to this day with them. And
So now that's four locations.
4 locations. Shortly after that, then they opened up another one in Denver, and they asked us if we would be interested in going to Denver. And that took a little while to figure out all the logistics and everything of that. But we were again able to make it work. We got an apartment out there. We sent some guys from Austin to Denver to be our managers. Fortunately for us, it was a smaller account. Denver is a very high public transportation city, so it was a real slow account. But just the fact that we were going to be there and everything was great. And we were there from I want to say 2017 until COVID. And then COVID kind of kicked us out of Denver. We said, "Hey, this isn't going to work. Let's just focus on Texas. It's the biggest state in the country anyway. We can grow here." They tried to get us to go Miami. We were definitely about to go to Miami and do that, but there was a problem with, and it's a boring story, but there was a problem with the valet company that was on the property originally. They managed the garage, so our cost was going to be too high. And we basically went to them and said, "Hey, look, you're going to save money by just going with those guys." And they liked that too. They said, "Hey, you're telling us we're going to save money by going with another company instead of just making it work? Because if it's the cost, we want you guys here. We can deal with it." And we said, "No, like trust us. Like it's like 3 times what you're going to pay with those guys. We'll vet them for you. We interviewed them for them. We assured certain things, and obviously from the relationship with Uchi and Parkside and Backspace and all those restaurants, we got the notice of other restaurants and other locations, and they came calling. So the valet built up a pretty heavy portfolio, some hotels, some large city center areas. And in the middle of that, if it wasn't for Uchi, we wouldn't have started the security company, which is what I oversee and am the CEO of now. So
now you go from not just doing valet. Now you make the switch. How does that door open?
Kind of a funny story. So when we opened up in Uchi, Houston, they had a small security company that was owner operated. There was one guy, I called him Big Casino. His name was Clyde, and he's a big dude. He was a ex police officer, and he ran and operated that location 7 nights a week. Him and 3 other security guards. And that, like I said, we started in 2014. And immediately him and I hit it off, and I was there every other month for a month, and he ran a good ship and good guys. Well, he came into some like family issues and kind of had to step away from the business for a little bit. And he asked me to kind of help oversee his operation. He's like, "Hey, I'll give you a little bit of profit percentage, but I need your help with the scheduling. I need you to hire a couple guys for me. I'll be back in like 3 months." And so completely unbeknownst to Uchi and anybody else, like we were helping run, and I was specifically helping run the security side, and the valet needed it. I mean, we're parking 200-300 cars a night, a lot of high-end things, a lot of high-end vehicles. We knew what we needed from a security side, especially with that many cars. We're parking at multiple parking lots all over, the area. Well, after about 3 months, he came to me and said, "Hey, Hunter, I'm not coming back. I'm going to have to move. I got to change my life a little bit. I got to go deal with some family stuff." So I went to Uchi and basically said, "Hey, you guys got 2 options, man. And you either need to hire a new company today to take over because, Clyde's not coming back, or you guys trust us to do what we got to do, get our licensing, open up a new company. We know exactly what's needed from a security standpoint here from the valet. And we think it would make more sense to have the valet and security kind of working more together than they are now." And they fortunately gave us the opportunity and said, "Hey, yeah, we like the way you guys work. We've liked doing business with you guys for the last couple of years. Let's see what we can do." So we went after that, and we got the licensing, we got the insurance, and then boom, we opened up Next Level Security. Up until COVID, it was really just, that was all we had. We had that one location. We ended up getting a couple of little small things here and there, but mostly it was just that one location, and then piggybacking off the valet side for events. We finally got our pricing right with the event side for valet, so we started really, really gaining ground with that. And it wasn't until COVID, until, security was even anything. Until then, they were just a blip on the map.
I mean, the idea that, as you grow and you start to really look at these little opportunities, right? You try on something new, you do something new, always kind of looking at, all right, what's too much? Like going to Miami, too much, right? Going to Denver, it was okay, but not really profitable enough worth for us. So
Right.
look, trying. I always tell people, go for it, right?
Yeah.
Go for it, and that way you find out if you make it. My whole job is to make a decision,
Right.
good or bad, right? If I'm wrong, I know faster, right?
Yeah.
Make a decision, figure it out, move it on. But have the ability to be flexible, right? Hunter, as you have shown, all the different businesses you've done, having that grit to grind through and figure out how to rub these two sticks together and make a fire.
Right. Yeah. No. And to your point, about continue to try and just see what you can do. I tell my little boy this, and I tell a lot of our managers and everything. Like, it's a saying I have that just keep throwing darts at the dartboard, till you hit your bullseye. No matter what that might be. You might be throwing for a 20 and you hit everything else. Keep throwing darts at the dartboard until you find what you need. And that's exactly what we've kind of done. We've always kind of had the right mindset. We wanted to start a business and go continue the entrepreneurial route. But if you would ask me 20 years ago if I would have owned a valet company and a security company, I would have been like, probably not. But we were able to make it work, and now it's like I don't see myself anywhere else.
Well, and how many more? I mean, how many more businesses will you take on over your lifetime? My judgment is that once you get this fire and you realize you can you can mold the world the way you want to mold it, that there's a gift. There's always a higher power kind of watching over us, holding that high watch for us. But as we go out there and put the work into it, right, we get more opportunities. Life, to the outside person, it looks lucky, like you're a lucky person. And I'm like, nope, you're not lucky. It's a matter of, I work my ass off, right? Entrepreneurs get up, do the work. The harder we work, the more successful we get. And there's a gift to that, right?
No, 100%. No, you're 100% right.
Yeah. So your shift in perspective starts with having a child. Talk a little bit about that, and how old's your child now?
He's going to be 8 next week, actually.
Well, that's a great age. What's his name?
Yeah,
What's his name?
His name is Cassius, but we all call him Cash. So Cassius, and we call him Cash. But he's awesome, man. He's in the middle of doing his 5th or 6th season doing flag football. I coach with his teams, and he does jujitsu with me during the off season of his football. We go twice a week. But he's the best, man. He's the smartest, funniest kid, and I'm very blessed to have him as my little boy, for sure.
Yeah, come on. I mean, look, having children are really the gift of life, and playing flag football and you get to coach. That's a lot of fun. Talk about the kids you're coaching and what kind of a difference you're making over there.
Yeah, no. So I signed up to be an assistant coach for all his teams. He's got a really good head coach, and he's a really good guy. And I signed up to be just assistant coach as much as possible I can. So I'm at every practice that I can be. I'm at every game, no matter what. And I kind of coach the defense for their team. My little boy plays center/tight end. He's really good at long snapping. He's really good at snapping the ball, and he's got great hands, and he's big. I mean, he's got my size and his mom's height, and his mom's like 6 feet tall. So he's a big dude, and he loves it. And the kids are great, man. I love watching them learn, and grow. Like last season, we our regular team, they're on the Bears, and they're a bunch of kids that have been together every season. And this last season, Cash didn't want to take a break. He wanted to keep going. So we signed up for another team, and he got, I think, 1 or 2 kids from that team to play with us. And the rest of the kids never played a sport in their life. I mean, it was like they never.
Been there. You got the kids out there picking daisies, and you got the kids who are like, "Oh my God, I'm sweating!" And
oh my gosh, it was a struggle. And what's funny, so I signed up again to be an assistant coach, and no other parent signed up. So the league came to me and said, "Hey, you're gonna have to be the head coach." And I was like, "Man, travel for work and all this stuff, but you know what? I'll make it work." And I went heads first. I created a playbook and got them all these matching gloves, and we were the Steelers, so it was I got them terrible towels and Tried to make as much fun as we could of it. And literally like 3 weeks into the season, my little boy broke his arm playing riding his bike at our neighborhood, and so I had to coach the whole season with my little boy not being able to play, and I didn't even sign up to be the head coach, and I was just like, whatever, I'll do it, kind of like with everything else, just hey, if we'll make it work.
Well, I kind of feel like that creative being in you can't stop at just being an entrepreneur, right? That's where coaching, in giving back, my judgment is that, people, one of my favorite expressions is, I don't get it until somebody else gets that I get it.
Yeah.
Right. By giving it away, there's a gift in really learning how to be giving and that servant leadership, serving that team, right. Being the one who carries it, even when no one else did, and giving back. There's a gift in that. And there's some gracious behavior where the universe goes, hey, Hunter, you've earned this, right? Let me give you a little morsel over here. It's kind of like the universe's way of giving, giving people who give back a way of being successul, and both mind, body, and soul. And I think that translates into the way you are as an entrepreneur and the type of customers that you get. All that that doesn't come to all of us naturally. At least it did to me.
Right. No, I love that. Yeah, I love that that way of looking at it for sure.
Yeah, it was a pretty amazing life out there. So, Hunter, if you were out there to tell entrepreneurs, all right, look here, or want to be entrepreneurs, you're sitting there and you're going, I want to do what Hunter does, right? What do you think is the key to your success so far?
I and I say it all the time, but be where your feet are, and worry about what you can control now. Never give up, and keep trying, keep throwing the dart to the dartboard. And build yourself a good team. Rely on a good team. Rely on other people to help you. Delegate. Just keep going. Keep going. Even now with us being, with both businesses now being so successful, we still obviously run into hardships and troubles and problems and issues, and there's definitely times and days where I wake up and I'm like, gosh almighty, like, we got to do this again today. And I immediately kick that out of my head and say, no, yeah, hell yeah, we're doing this today. And we got to deal with this problem. We got to move forward, and you got to have that right mindset or you're going to get eaten alive. And there's always, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And there's everyone else around you is trying to take your spot. And us in particular, especially with now where security is, we're getting hit at all angles from other companies trying to do what we do. And, same with the valet. I mean, every one of our competition on both sides is trying to get our accounts and trying to do what we do. And you just got to keep staying focused and keep going forward and worry about yourself and be where your feet are. That if you worry about the future, you get too anxious. If you worry about the past, you're too stressed, and just be where your feet are.
I always tell people the cannibals are coming for me. And that's what makes me wake up every morning a little bit earlier and work just a little bit harder, right? They're coming to storm our business. And it's up to me to, make sure that we keep moving forward and keep an eye on that, take care of those customers, where they just crave you. So Hunter, I think you've done a great job of that. Audience, if you have any questions, I'll make sure I put all of Hunter's contact information down below. Hunter, if people want to catch up to you, what's the best spot for them to catch you?
They can hit us up at nextlevelsecurity.com, or if they want to find me on Instagram or Facebook, I'm on there. But yeah, like I said, I'm since COVID been running exclusively the security side, so you can find us nextlevelsecurity.com. There you can find our online store, our training courses, get a quote, see what we're doing, stay up to date with our blogs, all those kind of things.
It's a pleasure having you on. You are a gift to this world. You shine bright light off of you. Audience, as always, thank you for listening. Oh, hey, guys, last week I noticed that there was over 74% of you listened to the end, but you weren't signed up, you weren't subscribed. Would you guys take a second right now and just like and subscribe? It means the world to all the guys in the background that do the work, and myself. It means the world that we're doing the right thing. You got to the end of a podcast. Just take a second, like and subscribe, because that way we can, the numbers make a difference to us and the guests that we are able to bring on. So thank you as always for listening. Hunter, thanks for being here.